I haven't worded this exactly about leaving the matrix, but it's what it is. I wanted to put a big picture of, first, why we're here on Earth. Forget the matrix, put it aside. What was it in the beginning? Why do we come here? And what have we got to work with? What are our tools? How do we achieve life? I want to present this just as an idea for how life can be lived and why we're here, why we're living it.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's do it. Yeah, okay. So, I haven't worded this exactly about leaving the matrix, but it's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to put a big picture of, first, why we're here on Earth. Forget the matrix, put it aside. What was it in the beginning? Why do we come here? And what have we got to work with? What are our tools? How do we achieve life with or without a matrix? Bearing in mind that we're stuck in the middle between, so this is a bit kind of idealistic, but it's not impossible,
No, but that's a tall task.
Yeah, but to me, I want to present this as just as an idea for how life can be lived and why we're here, why we're living it.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think the first thing I want to talk about is why we're here on Earth, first and foremost, and it is for our evolution, our growth. So to me, that's number one, and that's just how it is. That's the whole structure of this world is, and it's not just us. Everything's learning. Everything with consciousness is growing and moving upwards. So I think that's probably the number one kickoff point. So not talking about jobs or anything here yet, but the very, very beginning. And I want to point out that this planet is a very, very special school of learning for two reasons. One is space and one is time, and which creates the third dimension. And I know we're talking about moving away from third dimension, but actually, in the meantime, it's a damn good place to be, to learn and grow, because in dimensions we've come from, it is not so clear. Like when I say that, we're all really oneness in other dimensions. But here I can see there's you, there's Mani, here's me, here's a table, the clock's ticking, we've got time, we've got space, and we're able to learn things in a more focused way, specific things. So that's why this planet is so wonderful. Matrix or no matrix.
Can I interrupt you?
Yes.
I think
Of course.
we all as individuals have purpose and mission to accomplish here
Yes.
as individual souls that
Yes.
came from the same source.
Yes. Well said. Yeah. That's not interrupting. That's helping.
But the sad part is they try to distract us. They try to not let us accomplish our soul purpose.
Absolutely.
And they try to push us, put us in this system that is almost like forming human being. It's like
I know. Yeah.
control to the level that you work, you eat, you have 2-3 hours to, I don't know, watch whatever shit you want to watch, bullshit, and sleep and rinse and repeat.
But think of it this way. I absolutely agree with what you're saying, but think of it this way. And I'm not condoning matrix, but it's actually something to push against.
Mm-hmm.
To say, okay, this is crap. We don't want this. What was it again that we wanted? So I'm not condoning matrix, but that's a way of getting something useful out of it. So that wasn't interrupting. That was a really good follow-on. Thank you.
Yeah.
I also want to point out that when we come here, to some degree, we get the blinkers put on the bigger picture of life. Inside of us, we all have the knowing of that we are oneness, if you like. But so that we can focus on individuality, if you like, we kind of don't really have that knowledge readily available. It's there, but that's with a reason too. Okay, so then we decide to come here, and we've decided what we're going to learn, roughly. And bearing in mind we've probably been here countless lifetimes already. This is not a new place for most of us. So our lessons might consist of things that we screwed up in earlier lives or didn't complete, or totally new things. I know in my case it's a mix of both, and that's about pretty normal for most people too. Then we get to choose some parents who are going to give us the background that we need to kick off life, and plus the people we're going to interact with, whether they're our partners, friends, family, enemies, a whole lot. And bearing in mind that we've chosen this from a place where time is not relevant, doesn't really exist in this way. Everything happens at the same time. So not saying everything's totally predetermined, but pretty close to it. Mm-hmm. That's probably the background, the foundation of this school, and then we get down here and get cracking, and hopefully if we can learn to follow our heart, our childhood desires and passions, we're going to stay on track with or without the matrix influence. And I consider myself pretty fortunate in that, in spite of growing up with the very strong influence of matrix, as it were, I kind of pulled through. And I have, for the most part, followed what I'm here to do and learn. And I'm very grateful for that. And it has been a hell of a job learning. Trust is one of my big lessons, and learning to really trust what the heart is saying. As an example of that, one of my biggest lessons was a feeling that I first got when I was 11 years old, living in New Zealand, a longing for some other place. I didn't even know where it was then. About 5 years, I heard it through music in a song. And about 5 years later, I heard it again, and I knew the song was then called Swedish Rhapsody. And that deep longing was still there. And it didn't leave until I was 39 years old. And I had no reason to want to leave New Zealand. I love New Zealand. It was paradise. It is. It's a brilliant place. I had everything I could hope for there. But no, the feeling was telling me I need to be living in Sweden. And eventually, after fighting the intellect, I did. I came here to see what the hell was going on. Felt, no, it's the correct feeling. And in spite of the war in my head, I moved here. And it has been a wonderful leap forward for me. Mm. So that was a huge lesson in trust that this earth has provided me.
I don't think most of people are that lucky to be able to, listen to their intuitions. And
it's true.
Be able to materialize it in the real world. Maybe you hear from people say I always have the dream to go to Paris or Italy or visit or live in this village, or you know what I mean?
Yes.
This kind of fantasy type of just talking and dreaming. But some, maybe their life purpose is to immigrate, go somewhere else and to experience some other type of life, another culture, and learn different things and learn things differently.
Yes.
Not even different things. You can relearn the same thing that you learn in your culture, but from a different angle, and you get a different understanding from it.
Which is exactly true in my case.
Yeah.
But I want to say, me being lucky, if you want, you don't want to know what's behind that luck. I have messed up so many lifetimes, really big time. So it's about darn time I've got it right. It doesn't just fall in your face.
I understand.
Yeah. Just while we're on the past lifetime things too, I think that's a really important aspect if people feel up to it, just to take that into consideration, why we're good at certain things and not so good at other things. And I want to just point out an example of we have 4 siblings in my family, and we all had a very even upbringing. My parents were, I think, pretty good at that. And all 4 of us are so utterly different in our characters. And to me, the only logical explanation of that is that we have had such different backgrounds, such different past lifetimes. I mean, what I'm saying is not unique to my family. It's true of everyone, but I've seen it very clearly in my family because we're all so different. So what we've done before really matters to what we're going to do this lifetime. And we don't need to know what we've done, really. We kind of feel it, I mean, some people are just natural musicians. They hardly need to even have any education or pick up an instrument and play it. That comes from somewhere. And maybe there's more to do with that in this lifetime or not. And another way, if we haven't finished with our learning with other people in other lifetimes, we can easily continue at this one too. Especially if it's people that really piss us off big time. I had a few of those. It doesn't mean that they're bad or horrible people. It just means we've been going through things early. We didn't kind of get finished. But that can really give us, good grounding for what we do this life too. Just to understand that.
True.
I just want to point out too, relationships. If you want to learn and grow fast, dude, have relationships. You probably already know that.
Oh yeah. It forces you to this, like a pocket of dealing with things. And when you deal with things, deal with conflict or argument or whatever, like you have to dig deeper within you to find the answer, to find sometimes to accept your faults.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, self-distance.
It's not always to argue to win. Sometimes you argue to understand. Understand what was your part in this whole mess. And to accept it is another process. The acceptance is, it takes a lot of working on yourself, understanding you're not this done or artifact that everyone needs to worship. You're still learning, you're still figuring yourself out. And I don't think like people who are single can have the same experience.
No. And it's not wrong to be single, but because maybe they're learning other things. But it's sure fast track to have relationships.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're forced to.
Yes.
Because if you're alone, single, when things get too uncomfortable, you can just stop it.
Yeah. You can pull the blanket over your head.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So fuck it, like whatever. I'm gonna deal with it later. But when there is another
when someone's in your face going
exactly, it like force you to figure it out, or force you to argue, or force you to understand what you did wrong or what you haven't done, or you know what I mean, then you're in this pressure cooking pots that
exactly.
I don't think any other way you can gain that experience and gain that understanding.
And it's good to have someone unlike ourselves, even if it's not the easiest way. Earlier in my life, I had a situation where there was someone, we both were very attracted to each other and longed to be together. The other person was in another relationship, so it wasn't really possible. But when we were both free and had the chance to be together, we looked at each other and realized, no, there's no spark, because we were like twins. We were so alike. And we were still really, really good friends, and that's wonderful. But there was no space for a relationship because there wouldn't have been any spark of learning.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not always the easiest to put up with.
The yin and the yang.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, exactly what it was. We were both yin and yin.
Yang and yang.
In that case, it was yin and yang.
Okay.
But I would like to, for anyone, especially for anyone now who feels that to some degree they're really stuck in the matrix, which to me means not living their life purpose, not feeling fulfilled, not waking up in the morning thinking, oh God, I can't wait to start the day. Let's get on with it. I've written a little list here of a toolbox of things that we can use.
Oh, nice.
Yes. So, so there's always hope, even if you're really in the last years of life, never too late. And I want to say the starting point can always be to go back to childhood and look at what dreams you had then. What were your fantasies? Even if they seem totally unreasonable, or unrealistic, there'll be a core of something real in there that we need to experience. Heart always knows.
True.
Okay, our toolbox for learning. The fact that we have a brain and that we have a heart, and we need both in balance. And I know in a lot of circles, the poor old intellect gets a really bad rap. And if it's out of balance, it deserves all the bad comments it gets. And we've got a lot of good examples of people like that. Nearly everyone in our Western culture has a degree of imbalance, with a large degree of imbalance with the intellect. The end result being greed, control, and kind of what you were heading towards with that Satan word. I don't believe in that being, but that concept for sure, absolutely. And it's not too hard to think up a few really obvious examples right now without naming anyone and getting us in trouble. But, But
speaking of what devil.
Yeah. But the purpose of our intellect is to help our heart achieve what it wants. That's it. But if we give the intellect the upper hand, that's when we get in the doo-doos. So having that understanding and that balance, to me, is the most critical foundation for getting through life in good shape. Unfortunately, most of us Westerners don't have that training. We have the opposite training. You have to be competitive. You have to be the best. You have to think, and the feelings just get pushed aside. It's just some pleasant little thing you do on Sundays. Heart first, head second. And as a close follow-up to this, I want to talk about ego, which also gets hugely bad press, especially in these new agey circles. I don't like that name, sorry. But the ego, we all have ego. Your ego is Marnie. Mine is Lyle. It is the role that we put on and play while we're here on this planet. But you are not just Marnie. You're a free soul. You're a being playing the role of Marnie, and I'm the same, playing the role of Lyle. And when we leave this place, we leave these roles behind. But how easy is if we have a big intellect, think, oh, yes, I'm Lyle, I'm wonderful, I'm so important, I'm better than everyone else. I'll have to push them down so I stay the best. I feel sick saying that. Sorry. Oof, take it back. Well, I think you get the point, And again, it's our Western education. It teaches us that thing too, You had to be better and biggest and best and wonderful, and everyone else is either above you or below you. How is that possible if we're all just one? It's just, that's big matrix stuff, if you ask me, dude.
I think we need to have polished egos.
Yeah, that's a good way of saying it. Yeah.
Like,
there's nothing wrong with the ego. It's having balance.
The concept of ego in Western culture is me, I, and myself. And that's ego. But it should be like a sense of community and unity in it.
Thank you. Yes.
And that's all. That's the extra element. It's not extra, but like if you're so egoistic, then you have to have that element, like almost out of body experience, like see it from a third person view. Like, right, am I doing it right? It's like, is it all what's happening within here, or like is something happening outside here that I have to pay attention to it too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well said.
Interrupt.
And good description, matey. Thank you. To me, it's remembering it. This is like a play. It's temporary, and we have our individual roles so that we can communicate what our lessons are, what our learning is, what we have to offer others. The reason that we have an ego, an identity, is so that we recognize for now that we are separate entities, that you're Marnie sitting there and I'm Lyle sitting here. We're actually the same being, the same oneness, but we can experience each other as different and learn from our differences. I certainly learned from you, and how you have experienced life and your attitudes and feelings so much. And I can't quite remember what it's like when we're all just one, but I get the impression that it wouldn't be as simple and as clear as it is for you and I to sit here right now and recognize each other as individuals, even though we really know we're still one.
Yeah, I agree with it. I think it's not an easy process to learn all these techniques, and
takes a lifetime,
and understand it, most of all. To understand, like, okay, yeah, I'm kind of limited to the daily life that I have, but I can still pursue a way out of this system. And it was interesting because I was listening to this guy and says like he was talking about like people who live off grid.
Yes.
And said that don't get fooled by that. Because if you want to live off grid, it's a hell. Everything is up to you.
Yes.
If anything breaks down, you have to know how to fix it, or it's like there is no way that you can do it yourself. But if you have a community of people living off grid, then it's a totally different game. Because first of all, you always have help with whatever, and you don't have to do everything yourself. You can just take part. Like, okay, I'm good at this, so I'm going to do this. And then it's going to be very possible and very pleasant to live.
Yes.
So
good. Well said.
I think if we can like start building those communities, and we don't have to get off grid right away, but like building the environment, they started doing that in like small cities in Spain and other places. Like, fuck all this. We're going to have a local everything. Local mayory, local butcher, local this, local that. We're not going to have fucking all these crap chemicals in our food or water. We're gonna live like a decent life, and yeah, still they have internet and electricity and all the modern technology.
Yes.
So I think we need to go that way
Yeah.
to kind of free us from these big corporations
Yeah.
and like bullshit food and all the fucking propaganda that we consume.
If you think about it, I absolutely with you on that. But if you think about it, when we work from the heart first and foremost, it's natural to cooperate with others. You don't even think about it. It's just what happens. But if we're working up here, we're competing. Then you're on our own. So I think it's a very natural process, what you're describing. And I totally agree. That's how we will need to be. We need to be there here to support each other and in our lives and missions and everything.
So we need unity.
Yes.
We need unity in our hearts.
Yes.
All right.
And we need our intellects to help that become reality. We can't just feel it. We have to communicate it and create it. That's why we have the head.
All right.
The next point I want to talk about just briefly maybe is these physical bodies that we're in. You know, they are wonderful tools. They help us get around this planet and do things and create things and make love and have fun and they are also an outer reflection of our inner state of being. So I think I'm really talking to myself at this point right now too. I feel that, I know that our bodies reflect whatever's happening within us. You know, if our bodies are showing signs of stress, you know, we're off the mark. We are somehow caught into not the way we want to be. I mean, stress is a really simple one, that's why I'm mentioning it. But there's a whole science of taking that deeper, and that's my actual job, working with shiatsu and with Chinese medicine, which shows us, for example, if we have a heart problem, what the emotion can be behind it, or what the actions that we're taking are wrong is behind it, or stomach, lungs, everything. Our body doesn't let us lie to what's happening inside. So that's one of our best teachers. If we think we're bypassing our lessons, look at a state of a body and see, okay, oopsie, okay, too much stress, okay, stomach screwing up, slow down, relax, etc. Next tool we have is our guides or guardian angels. And most people don't think about them or realize they exist, but it doesn't make any difference from the fact that they're always there. And their role, we would have chosen them before we came to, their role is to help us to learn the lessons that we're here to learn, whatever they may be. And it's quite common to have more than one, depending on what we're doing. If you work with other people, it's not uncommon to have 6 or 7 or 8 for different functions. I happen to know that one of mine was to help me with Swedish when I moved here.
It's just funny that you believe in guardian angels, but you don't believe in devil.
Well, angels is a stupid name because it sounds religious. Call them guides.
Oh, you don't like the aspect of religion?
No,
of it.
I do not.
Okay.
One bit.
Yeah,
Sorry.
All right, I get it.
It's someone else's concept.
Yeah, I understand.
A guide or guardian angel is a being like you and I that have experienced certain things. And you and I probably will in the future have an opportunity to be a guide to someone else. I mean, that's all it is. And I happen to have one of them who is pretty good with Swedish, which I have a great problem with when I came here. I had a headache for at least 2 years, but had much help from her too. So we have that resource. I just want to mention it because a lot of people will go, yeah, sure. Nah, I don't believe in that. That's fine. We don't have to use them. But if we learn to use them, it's like a real turbocharger on getting support. It's what we're here to do. Then the next thing I have written on our list here, from Daoism, which is very ancient Chinese, I would call it wisdom, knowledge, wisdom. We learn about the 5 virtues, which are 5 aspects of how we live life. And I'll get to them in a moment. But the trick with them is if we have all 5 of those in balance, it's like a real flow comes that is not there otherwise. It's like turbocharger again. Everything kind of just falls into place. And in this podcast, probably I can't give real value to giving depth to them, but I want to mention them now just to make our followers aware of them. And there's plenty of information in other sources, so we can do something else on them. Number 1 is altruism, which is giving freely without thinking about it. For example, if you're out and see some rubbish on the ground, you pick it up and put it in the waste paper basket and no one's looking. That's altruism because you're not doing it to get praise, or you're just thinking of others unconsciously and doing it. And we all have that in us to do. And the trick with altruism is to look after ourselves first, which sounds like a little contradictory, but if we don't, we end up being a victim and then nothing works. This is a big one for me because I've had a Christian upbringing, which tells me that you don't think of yourself first, you give everything away and, charitable. But then you end up down in the gutter because you've got nothing left to give. So,
what are these all evangelical Christian do then? If that's the motto.
Well, I don't believe in their concept of living at all. I think they got it wrong. Not thanks to Jesus, thanks to the church.
You would think they have that motto for living.
I think they have that motto because then you have to come to the church for help. It's a sidetrack. We'll leave that otherwise.
No, but they don't do it. They're the one pushing for America first. So
of course.
Get rid of all the people in need, even Americans.
Yes. Don't blame Jesus.
Yeah.
He was amazing.
I blame stupidity.
I'm sorry?
I blame stupidity. I don't blame anyone.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so that's altruism.
Ignorance. I blame ignorance.
Yes, fair enough. Number 2 is integrity, which is doing the right thing. Again, for ourselves first, for others, and for the planet. And that's, like sticking up for others if they're being bullied or anything, or taking care of the environment, like taking care of ourselves first, making sure that we're healthy and, in good shape. Again, that can get a bit sticky because it looks like you're being a busybody, or if you don't have integrity, it backfires on your liver. And you end up being bitter and grumpy and sick. The third one is respect. And again, it's first and foremost self-respect. Respecting why you're here, respecting what you need to do, not getting caught in a matrix, which most of us have or do, but that's a biggie. If we get that off balance, it ends up in sorrow and it ends up working against us in the lungs. The next one is wisdom. And wisdom is has 2 parts. Innate wisdom, which is what we've learned from other lifetimes. And it's just what we have within us already when we arrive here. And then learned wisdom is when you stick your head in the fire and you get burnt or hand or something. And you don't do it again if you are half smart. But it's very, very easy. Now I'm talking about myself here. So easy to not value what we innately know. Push it aside and think someone else knows better or the system knows better. Again, look what happens. Get stuck in someone else's picture of how we should live life. This has been my second really huge challenge. I'm still working on that because I have a vast number of lifetimes behind me and I have learned a huge amount. But do you think I'll put it all into action? No. The system must know better than I do, and that has caused me physical illness in my body. It nearly took my life, as you know, a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
That's hours from death, ignoring wisdom, ignoring its value. So I mean, it's powerful stuff we're mucking around with. It's good to get it right.
Yeah.
And I'll probably be like everyone else, working on getting these things sorted until the day I die. There's no point if I get it all sorted out now. I might as well leave. But so when I'm talking about all this stuff, I'm not saying that, oh, yes, I've done it all and I can do it now. Oh, man, I'm really learning. It's hard as anyone else's. The last one is trust. And that's my other big lesson too. Trusting our intuition, trusting our feelings, trusting the heart.
Trust the process.
Whose process? No, seriously, that's where we lose it, We think the system's there for us, and most of it isn't.
True.
We have to, that's again been my challenge, and it's related to the wisdom thing too. Going our own way, trusting our own path. Like me moving to the North Pole, when I lived in a subtropical paradise, it was totally correct for me, but, it was not expected I should do that. It should be the opposite way around, and it was so right for me.
True.
And it probably would be very wrong for most other people, but that's the point. So those are the 5 virtues. And that it's too big to talk more about now. I don't want to take up more of our time, money, but I want to say we have them. We need to learn to use them in balance. If one's out, or if they're all working, it's like, driving fast at full speed. If one's off, it's like having a cylinder that's blocked and we just putter along. Then probably the last thing we've got time for today, I'll just mention briefly, is gratitude, which again has a religious connotation to it, that we should be grateful for the little crumbs that we get. But that's not what I'm talking about. It's an inner attitude of appreciating what is here right now, even if we've got just a crust left to live on. It is seeing the beauty in what is there, and truly valuing it, that we have a body, that we have air, that we have the chance to be on this planet. And when we build up gratitude and it becomes innate, then it builds on itself naturally, that we can really get value from any situation. We can learn from any situation. The opposite to that is we see ourselves as a victim, and then we're stuck there. We won't get out of it. As long as we have victim mentality, we'll stay at that place, even if we're billionaires, even if we've got best health, the best of everything. If we feel ungrateful, feel that we're a victim, you're screwed. You won't get out of that. You won't grow. You won't move on.
Yeah, victim mentality.
It's a biggie.
It's horrible, yeah.
And I want to blame the church.
You're just magnifying the problem.
It does, yeah.
Or it's gratitude and victim mentality are two ends of the same function.
Yes.
One magnifies the problems and sadness and negative feelings in your life. And one magnifies the goodness, good stuff, success, and fulfillment.
And inner freedom.
Inner
to be.
freedom, inner peace.
Yes.
All the good things, all the good qualities that you can have in your life. And sometimes it's naively optimistic to be grateful. But I rather be grateful for little things that I have than to be envy and
Yeah.
feel like a victim about everything that happened to me or everything that's
Yes.
supposed to happen to me in the future.
Also, when you are grateful for the things that might seem unfortunate and you learn something from them,
Exactly.
then you can let them go as an unfortunate or bad thing, because you turn them around into something.
I think one thing that I can add to all the things that you said is that if you think of everything as a one time off, then there is no way to have gratitude or not feel like a victim. But
Yeah.
if you know it's a back and forward game. You might win some, you might lose some, you might win again, you might lose again, you might do this, you might learn something, you might not learn something. It's constant back and forward. Like it's like a cycle that repeats itself every second.
Yep.
So it's never said and done until it's said and done.
Yes.
And when it's said and done, you're not gonna notice it.
No.
Like when you die, sorry, I'm
No,
pointing at you. When you die, you're not gonna recognize you're
I didn't recognize.
you're dead because you're gone.
Yeah, you're gone.
You know?
Yeah.
So until that point, there's always room. There's always room. Oh yeah, okay, this time didn't work. Okay, I'm gonna try a different way. I'm gonna like improve. I'm gonna do different style. I'm gonna take a different approach to it.
Yes.
And if you have that point of view, you're always grateful because you always feel like there is still time and you have the chance to do things differently.
Yes.
But if you always fall like down to the it didn't work, I did my best, and you take away the chance that you have, you take away every possibilities from yourself, and of course you're gonna end up in like bigger shits. So,
yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I would like to say our out of balance system encourages to be victims. It's a sense, a method of control. But if we look at it from another aspect, great. Then we've got something to push against and not come into that to find our inner freedom. You know, so there is, even if I'm sounding grumpy about matrices and things, it does have a role to play, you know, and it's up to us to move from it, you know, move into our own power. You know?
One step at a time.
One step. One more thing to say quickly. Daoism has the concept of Wu Wei, which is effortless doing. And they use water as an example of that. Water flows freely. If there's an obstacle, it flows around it without fuss. When we really truly have mastered Wu Wei, we come into our own natural cycle of moving through life, which is a long way from what our traditions teach us, you know, to work hard, die, etc. That is extremely powerful tool to have too. I have not learned all of that yet. I'm a beginner with it, but what I have learned has tipped my life around upside down. So there are some ideas of what we can do to step outside a matrix and make our own life, you know, and learn, move on, have a ball doing it.
I think one step at a time, because
Yes.
it can be overwhelming to
Of course.
some people. So, I have to do all that. It's like, I have to be positive. I have to be grateful. I have to be this. I have to be that. It's like,
But if you just start here, follow the heart, the other things kind of fall into place.
one thing that I want to mention is that every progress that you make is a step towards
Step forwards,
your better self. So
Yeah.
you have to always be optimistic, satisfied, fulfilled with what you're doing. And that gives you more fuel. And that gives you more power to move forward and move forward stronger
Yeah.
and better. So all these methods, like you can start with whatever is you feeling comfortable with, and make a little progress, little by little, every day. And you find yourself doing it all at some point, but don't put pressure on yourself that you disappoint yourself. That's against this teaching.
It's against Wu Wei.
Yeah.
And if we get one thing right this lifetime, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
You know? Seriously, you know, I'm not going to get all those things sorted this life. Might get.
Maybe you do.
Maybe I do. If I do, I'm delighted. If I don't, I'll do it next time.
So what? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. You're right on, man. It's no point to feel pressured or, you know, we've got to be perfect and then get on with life. No, the life is the learning process, you know, and if we don't get it all, well, that's fine. Yeah. Long as we enjoy the ride.
Life comes from you, not at you.
Ooh, that's pretty deep.
Yeah, so if you understand that then
Yes. Yeah.
you express it better.
I love it.
Use all these tools to be able to express it, to create it.
Life comes from you, not to you.
Not at you.
At you. Oh, thank you, Marnie. I really love that. Yeah.
Let's end on that.
Let's end on that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys for watching. Comment, like, let us know if you agree with what we say here. Let us know if it's useful or helpful in any way.
Yeah.
And see you next time.
I'm with him. I would really love to get some feedback from you guys if you try any of this stuff. You know, all questions too, of course. Will be good to hear.
Cheers.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.